In the sleepy town of Redding, California, where the Sacramento River carved a lazy path through sun-dappled pines, Laura Bennett lived a life of quiet purpose. At 32, she was a high school English teacher, her days filled with lesson plans, grading essays, and nurturing the minds of her students at Shasta High. Her 10-year-old daughter, Chloe, was her heart's anchor, a bright, curious girl who loved books as much as her mother. Laura's husband, Mark, a 40-year-old auto mechanic who ran a small garage in town, was the steady hand in their family, or so Laura believed. Their routine was predictable. Laura sent Chloe off to school, taught her classes, and waited for Mark to come home, his hands stained with grease, his smile warm but increasingly distracted. "Mom, look! I drew this at school today!" Chloe bounded into the kitchen one October afternoon, clutching a colorful sketch of a riverbank scene. Fish leaping, a family picnicking under a willow. Her grin was pure, unguarded. Laura smoothed Chloe's braid and pinned the drawing to the fridge. "That's a lovely picture, Chloe. Dad will be so happy when he sees it." But Mark's enthusiasm for Chloe's art had waned. 6 months earlier, Laura noticed a shift. Mark claimed work was piling up. New clients, late-night repairs. But he started staying out later, sometimes disappearing for entire weekends, muttering about big jobs at the garage. Laura chalked it up to stress, though a quiet unease gnawed at her. Laura's parents, George and Evelyn Harper, lived in a tidy ranch house on the outskirts of Redding. Retired from their careers as a pharmacist and a librarian, they doted on Chloe, filling their days with board games and bedtime stories. At least that's how it seemed. Laura's younger sister, Rachel, 30, was a freelance graphic designer based in Sacramento, her life a whirlwind of client meetings and city nightlife, a stark contrast to Laura's grounded existence. Rachel joined the family for monthly dinners, her sleek laptop always open, showing off her latest designs. At the last gathering, Rachel spread out a portfolio of camping-themed graphics. "Laura, what do you think of this children's tent design? It's from our new outdoor line, and it's selling like crazy." Laura thought she caught Rachel shooting Mark a lingering glance, but she dismissed it as fatigue playing tricks. "It's lovely. I'm sure it would be perfect for Chloe," Laura said, forcing a smile. That night, Chloe curled up with her grandparents, nestled on George's lap as he read her a story about forest adventures. Laura noticed Rachel's gaze flicker toward Chloe, brief, cold, almost calculating. It was gone in a second, and Laura wondered if she'd imagined it, but a faint discomfort settled in her chest. On the drive home, Mark was silent, his knuckles tight on the wheel. "What's wrong?" Laura asked. "I'm just tired," he muttered. Chloe, half asleep in the back seat, had asked earlier, "Dad, are you busy lately?" Mark's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. "Yes, we have a big project." The following week, George called, his voice bright. "Laura, how about going camping with the family this Saturday? Rachel will be there too. Let's all enjoy nature together for the first time in a while." Laura hesitated, then smiled. "That sounds nice. Chloe will be thrilled. I'll ask Mark." To her surprise, Mark, who'd been dodging family plans, agreed. "Let's go." Chloe, who loved the outdoors, was ecstatic. "Yay! We're going to the river! Will we see fish too?" But the day before the trip, Mark called. "I'm sorry, but urgent work came up. You all go without me." Laura's heart sank, but she resolved to make it special for Chloe. "It's okay, Chloe. Let's enjoy ourselves even without Dad." Chloe's face fell, but she nodded, her resilience shining through. The morning of the camping trip dawned crisp and golden, the kind of autumn day that made Redding feel like a postcard. Laura rose early, packing Chloe's favorite snacks: peanut butter sandwiches, apples, granola bars, and a first aid kit, her teacher's instinct for preparedness kicking in. "Chloe, you ready?" Chloe raced downstairs, her backpack bouncing, a fishing hat perched on her head. "All ready, Mom. I brought my sketchbook to draw the river." Laura grinned at her daughter's spark, determined to savor their time despite Mark's absence. The doorbell chimed, and outside, George's SUV idled. George at the wheel, Evelyn beside him, and Rachel in the back, dressed in designer hiking gear, her sunglasses gleaming. "Good morning, Laura. What wonderful weather we have," George called, his cheer almost too bright. As Laura and Chloe climbed in beside Rachel, Laura sensed a shift. George and Evelyn exchanged a quick glance, and Rachel clutched her phone, her jaw tight. "So, Mark couldn't make it after all?" Rachel asked, her tone sharp, probing. Yes, he said urgent work came up. It's disappointing, but it can't be helped, Laura replied. Yes, it can't be helped, Rachel echoed too quickly. As the SUV rolled toward Whiskeytown Lake, George and Evelyn were unusually talkative. Evelyn kept repeating, "Today will be a special day." The phrase grated on Laura, but she brushed it off as excitement for the trip. Chloe, glued to the window, pointed at passing redwoods and deer trails. "What's that? What's this?" George answered with exaggerated enthusiasm, his eyes darting to Evelyn in the mirror. After 40 minutes, the SUV turned onto a narrow dirt road, veering away from the main campground. Laura frowned. "Dad, where are we going?" George shrugged. "I found a different spot. It's off the beaten path, great for fishing. The river's perfect there." They pulled into a secluded clearing by the Sacramento River, its waters swift and deep, no other campers in sight. Silence pressed in, broken only by the river's rush. As they unloaded, Laura's unease deepened. George, Evelyn, and Rachel carried barely anything. No tents, no coolers, just small day packs. "Dad, are you sure this spot is okay? There's nobody here," Laura said, her voice tight. "Don't worry, Laura. This place is a hidden gem. The fishing's amazing," George said with a confidence that didn't reach his eyes. "That's right, Laura. Trust us. We just wanted to show you a special place," Evelyn added, her voice soft but her gaze distant. Chloe was already by the riverbank, sketching a heron. "Mom, look, I found a pretty stone." Laura joined her, crouching to admire it while Rachel kept checking her phone. "Rachel, you keep looking at your phone. Are you in contact with someone?" Laura asked. Rachel jolted. "Huh? No, I was just checking the time." Her voice spiked. "The time? Is something happening?" "No, nothing. It's just a habit," Rachel said, shoving the phone away. They set up a small camp, but the mood felt wrong. Laura helped Chloe bait a fishing rod, while George and Evelyn fussed over a fire that didn't need tending. Rachel stayed apart, her eyes flicking between her phone and the river. As the afternoon waned, George suggested exploring a trail along the river. The path hugged the water, narrowing where the bank dropped sharply into the churning current. Laura held Chloe's hand, her unease growing. The trail led to a rocky outcrop where the river roared below, its surface hiding jagged rocks. "It's beautiful, Mom," Chloe said, sketching the rapids. "Look, Chloe, can you see the fish down there?" George said, easing Chloe toward the edge. "Dad, that's dangerous." "Keep Chloe away from the water." Laura's voice cracked with fear. "It's all right, Laura. I just want to show her the river," George said, his tone calm but his eyes hard. "Chloe, come here," Laura called sharply. Chloe started back, but Laura felt Rachel closing in. Rachel's face had changed. Cold, predatory. Evelyn stood oddly behind George, and the three seemed to encircle Laura and Chloe. A heavy silence fell, the river's roar deafening. Laura's pulse hammered as Rachel seized her arm, nails biting into her skin. "Laura, there's something I want to show you," Rachel said, her voice steady but her eyes cruel. "What?" "Rachel, let Chloe come to me first," Laura begged, reaching for her daughter. "No, I want to show Chloe too," Rachel said, her smile twisting. As Laura struggled, George scooped up Chloe. "Grandpa!" Chloe yelped. "Let go of Chloe! What are you trying to do?" Laura screamed, her voice lost in the river's din. Evelyn stepped behind her. "Laura, you were always a good child, but sometimes sacrifices are necessary for the family," she said, her tone eerily gentle. With a sudden shove, Evelyn pushed Laura toward the river's edge. Laura stumbled, the current roaring below. In that instant, she understood. They meant to kill her and Chloe. George moved as if to hurl Chloe into the water. "Mom!" Chloe's scream cut through the air. Instinct surged. Forgetting her own peril, Laura lunged, grabbing Chloe's jacket. Rachel shoved her hard from behind. Laura's scream vanished as she and Chloe plunged into the icy Sacramento. The current yanked them under, rocks battering Laura's body. She wrapped herself around Chloe, shielding her as they were tossed like driftwood. Pain exploded in her ribs, her legs, her skull. "Chloe!" she gasped, clutching her daughter. The river spit them onto a shallow bank, the impact jarring. Laura's vision flickered, but her grip on Chloe never faltered. When Laura opened her eyes, Chloe trembled beneath her, soaked and shivering. Laura's body screamed. Her left arm and right ankle throbbed, likely broken, and blood seeped from a gash on her temple. Miraculously, Chloe seemed unscathed, cushioned by Laura's embrace. "Chloe, are you okay?" Laura rasped. "Mom, are you okay?" Chloe's voice quavered but held steady, voices carried from the outcrop above. Laura squinted, seeing George, Evelyn, and Rachel peering down, their silhouettes dark against the sky. "Can you see? Are they moving?" Evelyn asked, her voice thin. "No, they're gone. The current's too strong," George said flatly. "We need to check," Rachel insisted, her tone urgent. Laura pulled Chloe close, pressing them against the bank's mud, praying the shadows hid them. Chloe whispered, "Mom, we shouldn't move yet." Laura marveled at her daughter's clarity. They lay still, the river's chill seeping into their bones. After a tense pause, Rachel spoke again. "It's too risky to go down. They're not coming up." Her voice carried a sick relief. "Let's leave them as they are. Nobody will find them here," George said, as if discussing a spilled coffee. "I really never thought it would come to this," Evelyn murmured, not with guilt but with a nervous edge. Then Rachel's words froze Laura's blood. "Don't regret it. Now Mark and I are free. We'll get the insurance money and the obstacles are gone. We never needed that child in the first place." Laura's mind reeled. Mark and Rachel, lovers, conspirators, had planned this with her parents, all for a life insurance payout. The late nights, Rachel's glances, the camping trip, it was a trap. Rage and betrayal burned, but survival came first. They stayed motionless until the voices faded and footsteps retreated. As dusk settled, Laura whispered, "Chloe, you noticed well. If you hadn't said anything." Chloe's voice shook. "I heard Auntie talking to Dad on the phone before. She said they were planning something bad." Laura's heart shattered at Chloe's burden, but pride in her daughter's courage steadied her. Laura's phone, waterlogged and cracked, was useless. They were stranded on a remote bank, the river's roar drowning out hope of rescue. Her injuries throbbed, but Chloe's safety drove her. "Chloe, we need to get out of here. Can you walk?" "Yes, Mom. I'll find help." "No, we stay together," Laura said, her voice firm despite the pain. Chloe nodded, her small face set with determination. Laura dragged herself upright, leaning on Chloe, who scouted the bank for stable ground. Chloe's resourcefulness shone. She found a sturdy branch, fashioning a crude crutch for Laura. "Mom, it's flatter over here," Chloe said, guiding her mother along the muddy shore. Laura gritted her teeth, each step a knife in her ankle. "Tell me if you get tired, Chloe. We can rest," Laura said, her voice tight with worry. "I'm fine, Mom. I'm strong," Chloe replied, her chin high. By moonlight, they stumbled along the river, the forest dense around them. Laura's watch, somehow intact, showed past midnight. Chloe's steps slowed, but she never complained. "Let's rest," Laura said, collapsing against a cedar. Chloe curled into her side. "Mom, will Dad not come back anymore?" Chloe's voice was small in the dark. Laura's throat tightened. How could she explain Mark's betrayal, the affair, the murder plot? "Dad won't be able to live with us anymore, but it's okay. I'll always protect you," she said. Chloe nodded. "Grandpa and Grandma too?" "Yes, them too. Auntie said she and Dad would go somewhere together, after we were gone." Laura stroked Chloe's damp hair, fighting tears. "But it's okay. We're alive and we'll always be together," she said, her voice steel. They pressed on at dawn, the river's edge giving way to a faint trail. A miracle unfolded. A park ranger, patrolling early, spotted them. "My God, are you okay?" he shouted, sprinting over. "Please help us. We were pushed into the river," Laura gasped. The ranger, Tom, called for medics, wrapping them in thermal blankets and offering water. "How did this happen?" he asked. "I'll tell the police everything later," Laura said, her voice hollow. Paramedics arrived, rushing Laura and Chloe to Redding's Mercy Medical Center. Laura had a fractured ankle, a broken arm, cracked ribs, and a concussion, but she'd survive. Chloe, shielded by her mother, had only bruises and a sprained wrist. "Your mom took the worst of it for you," the doctor told Chloe. "She's a hero." Detective Sarah Monroe visited Laura's hospital room. Mrs. Bennett, can you talk? What happened by the river? Laura, propped up with pillows, recounted the trip, her family's odd behavior, the push, and Rachel's chilling words. Now Mark and I are free. We'll get the insurance money. Monroe's pen paused. We've tried contacting Mark, but he's not responding. He's part of it. He and Rachel were having an affair, Laura said, the truth bitter. Chloe, speaking to a child psychologist, detailed overhearing Rachel and Mark's hushed calls about getting rid of them. Her account matched Laura's, painting a grim picture. Monroe's investigation moved fast. Mark, Rachel, George, and Evelyn were arrested within days. Interrogations uncovered a 2-year affair between Mark and Rachel, a $2.5 million insurance policy on Laura, and a plan to kill both her and Chloe to eliminate witnesses. George and Evelyn, promised $400,000, had agreed to help. The trial was a spectacle in Reading. Laura, still on crutches, testified with quiet fire. The people I trusted most, my husband, my parents, my sister, tried to take my life and my daughter's. But we survived because true strength lies in love. The bond between Chloe and me was stronger than their malice. Chloe, poised beyond her years, took the stand. Grandpa and Grandma pushed. Mom protected me. Dad and Auntie are bad people. Her words, simple and raw, hushed the courtroom. Mark and Rachel received 30-year sentences for attempted murder. George and Evelyn got 18. As Laura left the courthouse, Chloe's hand in hers, she felt the weight of betrayal, but also a flicker of freedom. Her colleague, Diane, a history teacher who'd survived an abusive marriage, became her rock. Laura, you and Chloe are unstoppable. What's next? Diane asked over coffee. A new beginning. My cousin in Oregon says Ben's a great place to start over, Laura said. Chloe, eavesdropping, lit up. A new house, Mom? Will I make friends? I'm sure you will, Chloe. We're together, so we can overcome anything, Laura said, her heart lifting. 3 months later, Laura and Chloe settled in Bend, Oregon, renting a cozy apartment from Diane's friend Karen, who ran a bookstore. Laura taught at a local high school, her passion for literature rekindled. Chloe thrived at her new school, sketching rivers and mountains. School's awesome, Mom. I hang out with Emma and Lucas, but sometimes I get scared, remembering, Chloe confessed one evening. I feel the same, Laura said, pulling her close. But we'll get through it together. They attended therapy, confronting their trauma, the nightmares fading slowly. The school principal, David Walsh, stopped by Laura's classroom to praise Chloe's creativity. She's remarkable, Laura, after all she's been through. Over weeks, David's warmth and genuine care softened Laura's guarded heart. In prison, Mark and Rachel's affair crumbled, and George and Evelyn stewed in denial, never facing their guilt. On Chloe's 11th birthday, Laura threw a party. Karen, Diane, David, and Chloe's friends filled the apartment with laughter, cake, and gifts. David leaned close to Laura. You and Chloe have shown me family isn't just blood. It's something deeper. Laura watched Chloe blow out her candles, the sunset painting Ben's peaks gold. We've learned family is what you choose. It's love, trust, and respect. From the river's depths they'd risen, hand in hand, to forge a new life. Proof that true family is built on bonds that endure. The courtroom, months earlier, had been a crucible. As the verdict landed, Mark had leapt up, shouting, "It's your fault, Laura. You ruined everything." Rachel echoed, "I'm better for Mark than you. That kid's weak, just like you." Guards restrained them as Laura closed her eyes, letting their venom wash over her. George and Evelyn sat mute, their faces empty of remorse. Laura met their gaze one last time, severing them in her heart. In Bend, she and Chloe found peace. David became a steady presence, joining them for hikes and bookshop visits. Chloe's sketches adorned their new home, each one a testament to their survival. Laura looked to the future, certain that love, not blood, defined family, and she and Chloe were its living proof.